Hello, my name is Lukas Oldenburg from DIM28, and in this video I will show you an experimental feature of our Mocha JavaScript framework for data layer testing for Tealium IQ. That feature is how to log the Mocha tests to the browser console instead of the browser window. And we will couple this with Chrome's record feature or recorder feature to test a certain scenario flow automatically. As I've already mentioned, by default, Mocha outputs the test results to the browser window. I can click on passes and see the passes and the failures if there are any failures there. And now we want to log to the console instead of the browser. And for that, we need to change one line in the Tealium tag template of our GitHub repository to add our criterion for when to log to the console. So it's just this part that you need to change. So instead of document cookie index of Mocha to console, this is my rule. So if there's a cookie called Mocha to console, no matter the value, then we'll log to the console and not to the browser window. Of course, you can also keep that, but if you want another logic to apply when to log to the console or not, then you'll have to change that. That's the only thing you need to change. So in my case, I'll keep the cookie. So let's create this cookie and now reload the page, and it should now log to the console. Yes, and we see the results now in the console nicely. So now we can start our recording. For the logs to not disappear, we need to, of course, enable preserve log here. So click the cog wheel and then preserve log, otherwise the logs will start from scratch on every new page. So let's record, and let's call it product search to checkout flow. First, I'll reload the page to have the page view event as well. Then I'll search for something common like iPhone. Wait for the results to appear. Then I want this iPhone, so I add it to the basket right away. Oh, there's an error already here. Let me check out this iPhone as well. And since I'm so greedy, I'll add another one to the basket. And now let's go to the register, to the checkout. Let's log in. Go through the checkout. Oops, there's another error. And finish the order. And we're done. So let's end the recording. And what we can do now, we can replay the whole thing. Or we can first of all take a look at all the errors we had. So the fastest way is usually to just limit the levels of the logs to errors and then filter for something that all the Mocha errors have in common. So this is not a production environment, so there's a couple of other errors. Let's filter for EMS helper, and then we should almost reduce it to only those relevant to our case. There are some other errors. It looks like they come from Mocha, but Mocha actually catches also other uncaught errors on the same page. So this has nothing to do with our data layer test, but we can see this. For example, there's the link list add list event, and here component subcategory was supposed to be add from list, but it was actually add list. Similarly, on the view e-commerce checkout payment event, for the checkout delivery destination variable, which was pickup, that didn't match our definition of should be mail or bulk delivery. There was no pickup. Maybe pickup was added to the offers recently and we just didn't update it in our test definitions. Now the cool thing is we can replay this. And for this I recommend setting the timeout to a little bit higher than 5 milliseconds. Because sometimes the browser is just getting a bit slow having to do all these kinds of things. So let's clear our console and click replay, and we see that the browser now does exactly what we've done before. It goes to the search, it checks out that iPhone, then adds one iPhone to the basket and another one to the basket. I'm gonna spare you the rest of this, but let me tell you that this rerun failed because I was still logged in. So before I rerun this test, I should probably log myself out first. Anyway, this test is now saved in your browser, and whenever you open your developer consoles, you can find it again. So let me close it, open the console again, and under Recorder, it's still there, and I can start it anytime. And even better, I can export it or import it. So I can export that. It's going to be just a JSON file. I can even export it as a Puppeteer replay script. So I can use a Puppeteer bot and tell that bot to exactly do what's in that JSON file, or in that replay script rather. But if I export it as a JSON file, I can then import it in another Chrome browser and run the same test there. So you can just define a couple of scenarios, open a couple of browser tabs, and run those scenarios by clicking replay. And at the end, you'll check out your console, search for error to see if there are any new data layer errors. And that's something you could, for example, do right before a big release happens to make sure nothing important breaks. So I hope you liked this. And for more, check out our GitHub repository under Loldenberg/data layer test and our articles on Medium on the topic. Thank you very much and have a great day.